Ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your seats and leave your misconceptions behind. You're about to be taken on a white-knuckle roller coaster ride to the center of your imaginations. So please welcome, live on stage, one of the world's leading masters of mind control, the Lord of the Trance, international comedy hypnotist, Jonathan Royal.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon or good evening to you, depending on where you are in the world watching this. Could be any time of day. Indeed, by birth, it's me, Alex William Smith, better known to many of you as Jonathan Royal, hypnotist, formerly known in the 90s as Alex-Leroy, and generally dubbed as the British bad boy of hypnosis. The hypnotist who says hypnosis does not exist, there's no such thing as hypnosis, and that it's all just emotional manipulation. Hold on. I've got clips for you from my Royal Hypnotist Live in Blackpool training set. It's a package that is actually around well over 4 hours long, but we've only got 90 minutes here today, so I'm going to give you some highlights from that. Watch and enjoy. You get them to do. Now, the stereotypical things that hypnotists do, like we did before, hand locking and stuff, that people have come to expect to see a hypnotist to do. So in itself has got an associated prestige or expectation associated to it. But ultimately you can make something up, and as long as you deliver it with a straight face, without laughing, so you look as though you are confident, certain that it is going to work, and acting in a manner that you've done this hundreds of, not thousands of times before, and you know, it always works, then as long as the individuals that participate do what you tell them to do when you tell them to do it, then I would argue they're hypnotised. Because the truth is, sorry, I know you've come to a hypnosis course, but hypnosis doesn't fucking exist. There is just as much evidence to show hypnosis is nothing more than just talking to somebody as there is people go, oh, brainwave patterns change. Well, the apparent bits that apparently change, guess what? They also change when you're daydreaming. It's bollocks. The moment you realise hypnosis doesn't exist, it exists only in one place, in the mind of the person who believes it does. And one of the key things, I mean, we couldn't do it here, but it was done via the internet to a degree. One of the things, most important things that anyone wanting to do a hypnosis show or hypnosis demonstration is that the people who are going to be at that demonstration have known in advance that they are attending such a type of demonstration, so it doesn't come as a surprise to them. And that you have advertising that, arguably, I use cliches and I do it on purpose. So, I'll give you a few examples. I'm not saying you should copy this identically. I'm just giving you some framework, say, psychologically. So, I've got my cartoon character style poster. The key things is, it's got the word hypnotist on it, okay? And people expect hypnotised people to have their eyes closed, heavy head, full forward, slumped in the chair like we talked about before. That's why that visual imagery is on there. The visual imagery down here of people doing ridiculous things is basically telling them, if you volunteer, you are going to do silly things. It is ridiculously as simple as that. So, although this poster looks like, these posters look like they're there designed to sell tickets, which they are, and it's also got the legal disclaimers at the bottom, which on here is volunteers who may leave the stage at any time, must be 18 years or older, and take part entirely at their own risk in this demonstration of hypnotic style phenomenon, which is presented strictly for scientific and research purposes only. That covers you under the 1952 Hypnotism Act. For the full reasoning why it does, look at the transparency template DVDs. Saves time, we can get onto the good stuff then. But it's got the eerie hypnotist. People think it's all that, look into the eyes and around the eyes. And then you get people who go, tell them that's not what it's about. I've read books and downloads you can get from it. Tell them that's not what hypnosis is, it's not like that. Why would you tell someone who believes X, Y, and Z that it's not like that, so that then they feel bad and think, they're daft for not knowing what something really is, the moment you make somebody feel daft about themselves or that they were stupid, didn't know the truth, you're immediately putting up a brick wall. Rather take what they already believe and expect, deliver what they believe and expect, and they will feel good about themselves for being right that what they believed and expected is reality, and therefore they're going to like you more, because at the end of the day, either you tell them to do things and they'll do it, or they fucking won't. It doesn't really get any more complicated than that. Although, I mean, technically we can finish now, that's all you need to know. However, we're not. We're not, because I will show you more tricks, but in an essence, it comes down to that brass tack. Either they will respond or they won't. Now, there are things you can use that we're going to teach you that increase your success chance of them responding. But the biggest thing that will increase your success chance of them responding is when you realise that I truly, genuinely am telling you the truth, that there's nothing more to it, that they'll either fucking do it or not. And in fact, I've not set this up, but there's not many books that I recommend when it comes to hypnosis other than my own. And Delavar's Hypnotist Bibles, which you've got in the bootcamp. But there is one that I recommend called The Honest Hypnotist Guide. Well, the way to stage... Go on.
Way to stage hypnosis, The Honest Hypnotist Guide.
By this man... Come here a sec, Chris. By this man, Chris Doctrain. Give me a round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And get his book. It's cheap as fucking chips.
Cheap as chips.
But it's worth every penny for you to... Well, you'll be entertained. There's some great stories in it. But more importantly, you will see someone who is not me. I'm not getting commission off him or anything like that, who may use different wording to tell you, but ultimately, the main message is...
Yeah, it's all bollocks. Look, I taught myself stage hypnosis years ago. I went out and did it, and I thought, fuck it, I'm going to have a go at this. And when it worked, I was amazed. I couldn't believe it. And I met a stage hypnotist called J. Luis. I was working in Spain in a place called SOT. He did the hypnotist show in 5 languages, and I watched him every time he did it. And I spoke to him one day and I said, look, I've been reading about this for years. I'm really interested in stage hypnosis. Do you think I could do it? And he took me to one side and he said, of course you could do it. Any idiot can do it. I said, but I don't know what to do. He said, do my act, just don't do it round here. I'm telling you now, everything that he's saying is true. It's true. The problem is that too many people read between the lines. Read the lines. All you've got to do is tell somebody, we're going to do a show, follow what I say, you'll enjoy it, end of story. And they do. Can I tell them one thing that happened to me?
By all means, it's a privilege to share, thank you.
For the first time ever, I always tell people, look, there's rules and regulations when it comes to the show. You've got to do this. You don't want people waiting for food. Don't make them wait. Let them eat, then do the show. Don't have them waiting for the buffet. Get on with the show, but make sure that they've got full bellies. Make sure that it's early in the evening. They haven't had too much to drink. Make sure that everybody knows who you are beforehand so that they know who to expect. Show them a video so they go, oh yeah, fucking hell, I've seen him. That's Chris Strange. He's hypnotist. So I'm not explaining myself. So I'm not trying to prove, hey, I'm hypnotist. This is what I do. Because fucking Johnny Knobhead over there is going to go, oh, it's a load of bollocks anyway. You're a fucking idiot. Shut up. Fuck off. Right? I did a show at Christmas time where I said to this woman, they were booking me, please, you've got to follow these rules. They've got to be sober. It's got to be early. They've got to have eaten. Everything I asked her to do, opposite. And I got there, there was 500 people. It was bedlam. They hadn't given me a microphone. I could go through all the things. It was fucking ridiculous. And they said, oh, we're not told them that it's hypnotist show. They don't know it's hypnotist show. They think it's a competition. And what we've got is 10 people, the best of whom from different parts of the company, they've all won a prize. They're all going on a skiing holiday, but they don't know this. So what you're going to do is you're going to be the game master. I said, I've got to fucking stop you there. I said, what fucking drugs are you on? They've already paid me. I don't give a shit. I said, look, I'm not doing that. It's illegal. It's against the law. They have to know who I am. They have to agree. You can't force people up on stage and go, you know, you're coming up to win a competition and then surprise them with hypnosis. Never surprise them. They must always know. Give them a chance to think about it. Ooh, you'll hear them in the toilets beforehand. Talk, you getting up? I'm not fucking getting up. You getting up? But I'm sat in the shitter listening to them all. So I got there and I said, look, can you get these people, whoever they are, and I need to have a quick word with them. I took them all to one side. I said, look, these fuckers have lied to you. You're not winning a competition. They want you hypnotised. And they all went, what? I said, don't worry. You need to know who I am. I showed them my book. I said, I'm a published author. All right, I did it on Amazon. I did it myself, KDP, whatever, right? I said, look, all I'm going to do is hypnosis show, but these are not safe. It's not a safe environment at all. And I don't really want to hypnotise you. Not here. So can you play along? And I've never asked anybody to play along before. And this is the first time in 30 years of hypnotism saying, look, please, can you just, when I tell you to sleep, just close your eyes, do as I tell you. We'll have a bit of 20 minutes is all they give me to do a show. 500 people all talking. Nobody was interested. They didn't even give me a microphone. And I got these people, I finally got a microphone. The sound system was awful. And all these 500 people could see me and 8 people up on this shitty stage. And all of a sudden, they're all doing what I tell them to do. They have no idea that I've just said to them, just play along. Fucking hell, let's get out of here. And they played along. And I looked at them and I went, are they fucking hypnotised? Or are they, why? Because they were just doing as I told them. And it's the first time I've said, do as I ask you. And I honestly couldn't tell the difference between whether they were hypnotised or whether they weren't. And it's taken me 30 years to go, fuck this. This is bollocks, isn't it? It's all bollocks. But using that, using what people think is real, what people think hypnosis is, use that to give everybody else a show. When you get the volunteers up saying, look, I'm not here to take the piss out of you. We're here to have a laugh. Do as I ask you. You'll enjoy yourself. You'll get loads of laughs. Everyone's going to have a great time. And I don't have to do all that long-winded bullshit. Just don't have to do it. Because I know I can hypnotise people. Now I don't have to. I can still give them a show. Listen to him. Fucking hell. For years I thought he was a cunt. He's not. He's fucking not. I love him. I fucking love him.
Cheers. The Honest Hypnotist Guide. Strange way to stage hypnosis. I promise you.
It's free if you've got Amazon Prime.
Oh, well, for fuck's sake, you can't argue with that, can you?
Yeah, and it's I think it's $11.99 on Amazon. It was 30
I prefer
quid,
real books. You can read it in bed.
I've got. If you see me in the Ruskin, I've got about 8 books in me.
All right, I'll even sign it for you, Ben.
So yeah, give me a tenner, I'll sign it.
Thank you, Chris. Cheers. Another round of applause. Much appreciated. I hope you paid attention then, because that was worth the ticket price. If you don't realise that that alone was worth the ticket price of entering the room, then there's no fucking hope for you when it comes to using so-called hypnotic techniques in entertainment context, or therapy for that matter. So yeah, going back to it, they need to know what you look like. Oh. No. They need to know what you look like. So yeah, got the spooky bit, playing with the preconceived ideas, but they know before I walk on stage what I look like, so when I walk on, they go, oh, that's the hypnotist. When they are saying to themselves, internal talk, that is the hypnotist, what they're saying to themselves is, oh, if I was to volunteer for that hypnotist, then he could hypnotise me, because obviously he knows what he's doing, or he wouldn't have these really fancy, nicely graphically designed posters. Thank you, Stuart. My designer is over there. They must know that they're seeing a hypnotist show that night, so you might be using more than one poster in a venue. Hypnosis is the key word. It doesn't exist, but it does in their head. As long as it does in their head, that's all that fucking matters. If you think about it, I mean, there's loads of other examples here. Incidentally, Souvenir Jonathan Royal poster packs are available from the merchandise stand in the interval. No, they genuinely are, because I've got some of them I want to get rid of. The point is, it covers you legally, what's on the posters, but it sets that mental expectation. Now, obviously you may not have posters like that if you're doing close-up magic. I get that. However, you're not going to end up having people, the cliched, clucking like a chicken, barking like a dog at the restaurant fucking table. Or at least I hope you're not, because that'll just be a bit shit, really. But you might combine it with some of your magic and mentalism routines. So that's more subliminal. But if you're getting to what I'm going to call pure hypnosis, that concept of hypnotist, authority, perceived figure, tells people to do things and go sleep and their body slumps and all that, and then they do silly things, then everything. Doc Strange, Chris over there, has just said, everything I said before that he's just amplified is the ultimate fucking key. However, before the halfway break, we're going to move into physiological body tricks in a minute, because they then help your success. Because the more little things, the more examples you can give your volunteers or audience members of you saying something to them, giving them a so-called suggestion or hypnotic command, whatever you may wish to call it, them imagining it in their mind and it becoming an undeniable, tangible, physical reality to them that they can either feel, fuck me, I can't separate my hands, or that they can internally experience and go, whoa, this is weird. This wouldn't normally happen. There's only one logical explanation then, isn't there? Well, in that context, the logical explanation they internalise is, hypnotist told me something, I imagined it, it became tangible reality. And if that happens a couple of 3 times in a row, then there comes a point where the critical faculty, analytical area, or some in psychology call it the executive function, of the mind, the gatekeeper, nightclub doorman I like to call it, goes, what the fuck's going on here? I can go for a coffee break. I don't need to be on guard because this person's proven several times that they say something. I meaning the audience volunteer, imagine it using my powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration. And it became a physical, tangible reality. So if you tell them, for example, to put the hands out, now I did it, I thought, shits and giggles, I got you to do, well, you know what I got you to do. I got you to put your hands together like that. People watching the videos can rewind. And I got you to squeeze your hands together tightly, stare at your knuckles, and I talk some inane bollocks that you can watch by playing it back, because you'll all get these video links as well after the event. Then I'm counting backwards from 10 down to 1. Pro tip 1. Whenever you are apparently hypnotizing somebody, the numbers go backwards, because then those numbers are kind of suggesting going down to sleep, which is what people perceive hypnosis to be. We know it's not, but that's what they perceive it to be. The more suggestions we can give them and associations to what they incorrectly believe it to be, the more likely it is to become their reality. So the numbers go backwards, and the voice will tend to, when you're doing an induction, the deeper you go, the better you'll feel, but we'll cover inductions later. When you come to a hypnotic command, and I'm making it clear, command rather than suggestion, when you say to them now, prove to yourself you have done this correctly, there is more, you'll probably remember I got more forceful in my voice tone. Probably for some people a little bit to the edge of scary and why is the twat shouting at me almost type level. However, it doesn't have that negative effect because it's all framed around, unless they've been living under, in a cave or somewhere, they will have a preconceived idea that hypnotists do command people and make people do things. So rather than going, it's not that, play with the misconceptions. The more it gives them a perfect excuse as well. Okay? The perfect excuse it gives them is this. They get to have their 15 minutes of fame. They get to volunteer to take part. And this is amplified 1,000,000 times if it's for a TV show, or even if you just have a camera, and it does work to a degree with mobile phones. We live in a social media age. However, I would recommend buying on eBay, second-hand, a cheap, old, bloody Digibeta VH camera, one of the big ones, like you used to say, and getting someone to if you would go in filming street magic, have one of them, but then having somebody else with you who's doing it on the quality mobile phone or whatever. That's the real footage you're going to use. But for the visual suggestion, this apparently big television company camera, especially if you get them to wear some kind of name badge, it looks like it's being filmed for a television production company. People automatically become compliant when you just say, would you mind taking part? We're just filming something for hopefully future television release. Every show I've done, with the exception of ones for royalty overseas, in the past past 30 years, I've had somebody with a camera there, and I tell them it's being filmed tonight, and there's a possibility you could be seeing yourself on TV in the future. Well, they could if they go onto YouTube and find the right clip and watch it on their TV, but the perception of that phrase to them, the perception of that, I'm not lied, but the perception is, oh, it's my chance I might end up on telly and be famous here. And sadly, we live in the Love Island, Big Brother world where, the idea of a bit of fame will get people to do the most ridiculous things. You see, what you see on reality TV shows happen, it's way beyond what most stage hypnotists do. So, keep it fucking simple. So you're giving them an opportunity and you're giving them a perfect excuse because of the perception of the hypnotist being somebody who can sleep, you're going to do this X, Y, Z. If you play with that rather than working against it, if you embrace it, it gives them a perfect excuse because at the end of the show, and I've looked not just at my shows, I've also done the toilet test, as I call it, other hypnotist shows. That's where I go and sit in the shitter like Chris mentioned. And I get my missus to go in the women's just before the show ends so that when people go to the toilets and they're talking to each other honestly, unfiltered, we can hear what's being said. That's the best feedback you can get. Whether it's for hypnosis, magic or whatever, because then people don't realise you're getting that feedback and it's raw and it's honest. I realised that people who volunteered, who stepped foot on the stage, who've been in the show, they fall into one of three categories. They either can't remember anything that took place. You what? I did what? No, I wasn't. I didn't know. What? He gave me a dildo and I was dancing around like I was Madonna singing. No, I didn't, did I? Bollocks, they know full fucking well what they were doing, I'm telling you. They do. They're just attention-seeking fucking attention whores. They want the 15 minutes of fame. Honestly, I'm telling you. This is the truth. I know some of you won't like it, but I'm telling you the fucking truth. You've all been getting bent over backwards and shagged up the arse by certain magical street hypnosis producers for bullshit. The truth is, when you totally get this into your head, which you will have done by the end of the day, I hope, you can do anything a stage hypnotist does if you do what I did when I was starting out, but we'll come to that in a minute. Or, category of people number 2, is the ones that can vaguely remember what happened on stage, but they must stress the fact they just couldn't stop themselves from doing it because the hypnotist made me do it. They've got the perfect fucking excuse. And that excuse, they know it's like you don't need to spell it out. If they're of average intelligence and you're framing the performance that you are this hypnotist, that if they volunteer and cooperate, once they've used their powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration effectively, gone through that important seeming ritualistic process, so-called induction, blah, 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 that then after that you tell them, when you hear this piece of music, you'll do X, Y, Z, or when I say this, you'll do that. They know that from the audience's perception, if they do everything you say, it will look as though they have been hypnotised. So they cannot be blamed for making an idiot of themselves. It's a total get-out-of-jail-free card to have for all inhibitions and self-blame, shame, guilt and regret to go, boom, out of the fucking window, and it gives them permission to be a complete and utter fucking arsehole, attention-seeking whore. Which, believe me, and this is human nature, you might not like it because it might push buttons within yourself, but there'll be some sat there going, well, I'd never possibly do that. Bullshit. In the right circumstance, everybody will. And the only difference between those people who'd be fully compliant with the apparent hypnotist in one situation to another could be as simple as whose company they're currently in. You know? Are they out for a night with the lads where they end up getting rowdy anyway? Probably more likely they're going to get up and they want to show off. Or are they with the wife or, you know, mother-in-law? Maybe not so much. But at the end of the day, all these things are largely outside of your control. Except that which, you know, obviously Chris mentioned about things that you can control and demand in your contract. But at the end of the day, they're either going to do what you say when you tell them to do it, or they're not. And if they do it when you tell them to do it, it's because A, they worked out the fact they've got the perfect excuse to do these things and have no blame pointed at them. Or B, they've actually got to a point where you've said things, physical tricks coming up are the things, you've suggested things to them, they've imagined them, and it's become a physical, tangible reality for them, where in their heads they go, well, I can't argue with that. I couldn't separate my bloody hands. Now, I got you to do it this way, which the only physiological element of this is that if you squeeze your hands together for quite a period of time, like that, the fingers start to get tired. And yes, there's all the verbal suggestions of the gluing, locking, welding, and your mind may pick up on that, and if you believe that that's how hypnosis works, then there's an argument that that can help or be part of it. But ultimately, by the time I've counted from 10 down to 1 by 1, your fingers are fucking tired to a degree. Also, the knuckles knock against each other if you're in that position. And the moment they knock, if you were to try, that can be a signal that this is more difficult than normal, which gets rationalised as my hands must be sticking. But more importantly, play back the videos and listen to what I said. This I'm about to share with you is worth more than the cost of entering alone. Use this one technique correctly, whether it's in close-up combined with a magic trick or mentalism, or whether it's in the context of stage hypnosis, or even hypnotherapy as a convincer. And this one thing alone, it's a game changer. And it's what I call Almond's biggest secret revealed. And this refers to the late and great Dave Almond, who was a musical and radio star in America. And he did a stage hypnosis show for a short while, and then he also went into clinical hypnotherapy. And there's a green book out, well, it's now republished in blue, called Hypnotherapy by Dave Almond. Don't bother buying it. It's a good book, but don't bother buying it, because once I've told you what I'm about to tell you that I developed from a germ, a seed of an idea from his book, there's no need to read his book. Almond's biggest secret, in there he tells a story of people arriving in a medical ward, and they've got burns and stuff, and so they're in some severe pain. Let's be honest about this. And he says, I wanted to try and help them with hypnotic suggestion. So he figured, I need to get the mind off the idea they're in pain, and I need to get the conscious mind occupied so I can bypass the critical faculty, like we spoke about before, and give them suggestions that it's not pain anymore, it's discomfort, and it's reducing, and it's getting better, and it's improving. And he gives an example that emergency trolley came in, he runs up to the person, he goes, hi, what's your name? And the person, let's say they said, my name's Pete. You're right, Pete. What's your favourite thing to do if you were in hospital right now having to sort this out? What's your absolute favourite thing to do? And he might say, playing tennis. Oh, you really love that? Oh yeah, I really love playing tennis. I hope I'll be able to play tennis again. Excellent, Pete. Do me a favour, close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath in through your nose. And then out through your mouth. In through your nose, and then out through your mouth. And continue breathing deeply and regularly, and just so long as you keep breathing deeply and regularly, and just so long as you keep using your powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration effectively, I'd like you to now in your mind's eye, imagine a time in the past when you've had one of your most pleasurable games of tennis. One of those where you felt on top of the world, you scored every point that you wanted to do. It was the best game ever. You felt in that moment you were a winner. Turn up the volume, turn up the sound, feel it, feel it, feel it, and just prove to yourself that you're doing that right. And tell me now on a scale of 0 to 10 how much lower the discomfort is. Now we're saying discomfort rather than pain now, so that it's a suggestion itself, something has changed. And he found he got results. He found that he got better results when he first proved to them that if he suggested something and they found it happened because they'd imagined it and it became their reality, that amplified everything. So he then goes on to describe the almond eye closure, which is the idea that you tell somebody, and you can do it yourselves in the audience where you sat. You just close your eyelids down, and with your eyelids closed, you just imagine in your mind's eye that it's almost as if you can imagine that there's a control room inside your head, inside your mind. And in that control room is your head engineer who's in charge. And you imagine in your mind's eye going to that head engineer and saying, can you please just show me where the button, the dial, the switch, the lever, the slider, or the control, in whatever form it may take for you, is that controls all those little muscle groups around the eyelids, all the little muscle groups around the eyes. And your head engineer directs you to the right button, dial, or lever, and in a way that feels right for you. When I count from 3 down to 1, on the count of 1, when I click my fingers, as quickly as that, a snap of the fingers, I want you to, in your mind's eye, use your powers of intelligence, imagination, and concentration, and just imagine flicking that switch, or pressing the button, or pulling the slider down. Do whatever you need to do so that you know you've turned off all the power and all the energy to all those little muscle groups around your eyes. And when you've done that, just nod your head. And you wait for them to nod their head, which is them saying they've done it. At which point you say, just prove to yourself you've done that right. Just prove to yourself that you've turned off all the power, because if you've done it right, use your powers of mind right, putting all the onus on them, you can just prove to yourself now you've done it right and just try, and the word try, law of reversed effort, MLQA, implies that they won't be able to. But just prove to yourself you've done this correctly and try to open your eyes. Just prove to yourself those little... Now, either A, they open their eyes, in which case you go, you didn't turn off the little muscles properly, did you? It's not your fault as the hypnotist. Never your fault. We framed it so the onus and responsibility is entirely on the individual to prove to themselves they've done it right. And I read these things and put it together and I thought, hang on a minute. That's all you need in this fucking book. In fact, that's all you need, full stop. I mean, can I have a volunteer? A volunteer. The gentleman there, give me a round of applause. He makes his way towards the stage. Thank you very much indeed, kind sir. Peter, yeah. Thank you, sir. Would you face the front, smile? You're in show business now. That's great. Wonderful. What I'd like to do is you just stand there. Could you take your right foot there and just put it forward ever so slightly? Look down at your foot. That's brilliant. Don't worry. And I want you to stare at your foot right there and just imagine, it won't hurt you, but just imagine, because it is purely imaginary, using your powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration effectively. Just imagine that it's almost as if I've took a nail, but it doesn't hurt, and I'm nailing it through to lock your foot to the floor. So it's nailed there. And just to be doubly safe, I've got some invisible glue, and we're going to pour that on and bugger it. You know what? I've got some of that liquid cement left from later, so we're going to whack that on. Tell me when you know that that cement's set. Yeah. So with your powers of mind, you've set that cement, yeah? And you've set the glue, yeah? Excellent. Well, I'm going to count from 3 to 1. On the count of 1, if you use your powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration effectively, as I'm sure you will, you'll be able to just prove to yourself you've done it right and that you've glued that and locked it in place, because when you try and lift up your foot, you won't be able to. 3, 2, 1, just prove to yourself you've done it right. And notice you try to lift up your foot, you just locked, glued, weld, cement's more in place. It's quite weird, isn't it? Yeah. But here's the weirdest thing. In a moment, I'm going to tap you on the foot. And when I do, I'm going to take this hand, if I may, and just place it on your head there. Place your hand there. It's stuck fast tight, because when I lift, or rather tap that foot, it's going to come free. But the very moment, the very second it does, you'll find that if you use those same powers of mind that allow you to imagine your foot sticking, that you'll be able to lock and glue your hand to your head. Does that make sense? 3, 2, 1, that's separate. Lift up your foot. You can lift up your foot now. You can lift it. In fact, you can move around. But the strange thing is, if you just try and prove to yourself, you'll find that your hand's stuck fast tight on your head. The more you try to remove it, the more it's stuck fast, locked, glued, welded, cemented. I know it's really weird, isn't it? It's really quite strange. But that's you and your powers of mind, which is amazing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click my fingers. When I do, your hand will come free. But when it does, you'll find that your name, Peter's kind of gone from there. It's like it's vanished and gone. Do you think you can make it disappear from your mind if you use the same thought? Yeah? Okay. Would that be okay with you, Peter? Yeah, in which case, 3, 2, 1, your hand comes loose. But as it does, it's like it takes away your name, so it's gone. And you just try to say your name now, and you notice it's like it's on the tip of your tongue, but you just can't quite say it, can you? Nope. It's not, you just, it's weird. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tap you on the head. When I do, your name will instantly come back. You'll be able to say it out loud. And in that moment and second you do, you'll suddenly realise that your left thumb becomes the most pleasurable erogenous zone in your entire body. That whenever you rub it, you'll really, really enjoy it. 3, 2, 1, your name's back. What's your name?
Peter.
Fantastic, Peter. Excellent. You know what? I personally like my right thumb. Which one's your favourite? That one. It's all right, don't worry. We're amongst friends. It's all good. It's great. It's excellent. And in fact, that's completely cancelled out. You're back to normal. Give this gentleman a huge round of applause as he makes his way back to the seat. Now, some of you may recognise the order of some of that as being the order that things are demonstrated by James Brown in his Penguin Magic Lecture, if you've seen that. And James Brown credits James Tripp, who's Hypnosis Without Trance. Again, don't waste your money. You won't learn anything from any of those resources that you won't have learned by the end of the day or with the stuff that I've given you for downloads. What they forget to mention is that I had all this stuff out on, provably, on videos that are in the Elite Hypnosis Bootcamp decades before pretty much any of them were ever even thinking about learning hypnosis, let alone doing it. But that I also don't claim originality of it. Because, you know, if you get someone to stand like this, I'll do it sideways on, and one foot is but slightly forward, the body weight goes over here. And you'll notice when you look back on the videos that I've also gently, just apparently gently for reassurance, got my hand on his shoulder. But that's to make sure he can't lean his body weight back. As long as his body weight remains over there, he's not going to be able to lift his fucking foot up. It's a physiological trick, it's just presentation. But that's step number one. If I say something, they imagine it, it becomes a physical reality they feel. And then I get permission from them. I mean, I didn't go through any formal hypnotic induction there, but I kind of did a mini stage hypnosis show without any setup. Because you did what I said when I told you to. You used your powers of intelligence, you did it, you took it serious, that's all it takes. It's as simple as that. And I said, in a minute, when I tap your foot, which is when I'm going to take my hand off Peter's back so he can readjust his body position to move his foot, but when you suddenly find that your foot comes unstuck, your hand will be stuck to your head, and I've physically taken his hand, put it on his head and say it'll remain stuck there. When you watch the video back, I couldn't make it more clear how he's supposed to react. So that happens, dude. But also, just to doubly ensure that he's going to do it and I don't look a grade A wanker, although it wouldn't matter because I could always go, you didn't do it properly, did you? Or it would be perceived that way. Could I've said, just prove to yourself that you've done this correctly. I actually say, like with the foot, I went, have you made that concrete set now? Is it set? Yeah. Is the glue set? Yes. If now he was to lift his foot up, he's going to look an idiot. That's what's happening at an unwritten level. We're creating an environment where Peter looks fantastic because he was fantastic doing what I said when I asked it. And I was being nice and I wasn't, you know, I was being gentle, wasn't I, you know? It might look a bit pushy, you know, a bit arroganty from the audience point of view, but up here I'm trying to be reassuring. And that's all there is to it. So you can take that phrase, I'm aware of the time and it's nearly break time. You can use that phrase, just prove to yourself that you've done this correctly. It's what I call Alman's biggest secret. Just prove to yourself you've done this correctly. Just prove to yourself that you've now locked, glued, welded, cemented your hand to the tabletop. Just prove to yourself that the concrete stuck your foot to the floor. Just prove to yourself that your eyelids are locked. Prove to yourself your hands are locked. Just prove to yourself you're stuck to the chair. Just prove to yourself anything you've ever seen a stage hypnotist do. If you frame it the way that I've just said and put it across to them in the way that I've just demonstrated and said, then if they'll either do it and you look wonderful, or, excuse me, I'm leaking as Tommy Cooper would say, just like that. They'll either do it, which is wonderful, or They won't, but you don't look like you failed. The only person who looks daft them, and as long as you react like, oh, here we go. You didn't quite concentrate enough, did you? I know, if you do it again, it'll be, I'm sure you'll be fine this time. So also, you're not making them feel bad, you're giving them a second chance. And if you're making them feel good and giving them permission to make an idiot of themselves, then you can push it to the extremes of getting them to think they're men giving birth to babies, women having orgasms if that's your thing, and you're in the right type of audience environment for that type of thing. Common sense to prevail, please. So it doesn't matter if it's telling them that suddenly the deck of playing cards, imagine that the deck of playing cards on the table is visually in front of you turning into a solid lump of steel, the world's heaviest metal, something that's been down from space. When you know that you've seen that with your imagination, just tell me. Nod your head or say it out loud. Getting them to confirm, okay? Well, when you're ready to prove to yourself you've done this correctly, just try and pick up the deck of cards and notice how much heavier it is than normal. Heavy, you just can't lift it. They're either going to... I know this is a 4. Oh, no, there's a deck of cards there for congruency. They're either going to go... and act as though they can't lift it, or they're going to start lifting them but really slowly and start, as you saying, they're getting heavier, it's like they're sinking to the table. Or, if they're an idiot, they might just pick them up and go, oh, it hasn't worked. But you know what, if that happens, you, the hypnotist, have not failed because of the way it's been structured, because they haven't proven to themselves, they've proven to them and everyone else that they didn't fucking do what you told them to do when you told them to do it. And I promise you that is the biggest key to my entire fucking career. It's taken me around the world, that. Then, before the break, there is another thing I refer to that's called, let me look at my notes. Okay, there's another thing that I teach on my No Such Thing as Hypnosis videos that we spoke about before that are in the downloads that you're all getting. If you're watching this on video, you probably haven't got them, but there'll be a discount code. That NLP uses a term, modelled. Has been modelled by some magical street hypnosis trainers. Fuck it, I'll name names. Anthony Jacquin and Head Hacking released a thing called Ripped Apart, the Automatic Imagination Model, which is credited in a recent book release called Reality as an Art, which is the updated version of a book that came out years ago called The Pygmalion Effects by Aaron Alexander. Again, don't buy it. There's nothing in there that you won't have learnt today, and also he's wrong. In his book, he says it isn't hypnosis he's teaching people. That's semantical bullshit. It is. What he's teaching you is exactly what I've taught you, except whether he's doing it consciously or unconsciously, he's giving the impression that he's developing a new area of the art. Fuck. Anyway, he does give credit to Anthony Jacquin in his latest release through Illusionist, a thing called Psychic Surgery, it's called. Again, don't buy it, because I'm going to teach it you after the break. And the reason I can teach it you, because it's not me stealing it, is there's nothing at all original about it. And I will give you the source material of the stuff that predates Aaron Alexander ever being a performer. But apparently he does credit Anthony Jacquin's Ripped Apart Automatic Imagination Model. The idea that, and this will enhance your hypnotic results. Well, what the automatic imagination model is, that Jacquin learned from me as the Yahoo News Group archives you've got access to prove, but doesn't credit me. What a surprise. It's basically to use the phrase, rather than saying to somebody, your hands are now locking, gluing, welding, cementing. This is the basic form. Instead, you say to them, just imagine. It's almost as if X, Y, Z is occurring in a way that feels right for you. I hope you understand that X, Y, Z could be anything. Yeah? Good. Right. Because then You're creating a situation, and then you can follow that up and make it even more powerful by following up with the Almond's biggest secret of just prove to yourself you've done it right and confirming with them. When you know you've done that, just let us know. So the onus is on them. But the phrase "just imagine" is, when I'm interpreting it, I like to think that at an unconscious level in their mind, they perceive that as, well, it doesn't matter if it doesn't seem like total reality to me. Because sometimes in the past, I've had people say, well, years ago, oh, I'm a bit disappointed. You suggested something, and it was kind of like that. I imagined it a bit like that, but I knew it wasn't for real. So just using the simple phrase, "just imagine," is setting up the fact that it's purely imaginary. The little phrase, "it's almost as if," you then follow that up with whatever. It's almost as if your arm is locking in place like a steel iron bar, or it's almost as if your hands are locked, gluing. Doesn't matter what the X, Y, Z is, it's almost as if he's saying, but in a few short words, decoded, it's saying, don't worry, I know it's not fucking really going to be like that. You're not really going to have a fucking steel arm. But if you use your imagination, because of the previous phrase, just imagine, it's almost as if you, emphasis on them, you can allow yourself to experience that sensation that X, Y, Z is occurring. This making sense? Because you would obviously never break down the phraseology like that. But if you rewind this video, which you'll all get links to, and watch what I did earlier, you'll see this is exactly what I did say. Just I'm breaking it down now in ridiculous, glorious technical, I hope. In a way that feels right for you. I always end with that, because I don't know how good they are at imagining things. I'm not inside their head. I don't know, are they a visual person? Are they not? Are they one of those people who has the little voice in their head that talks to themselves rather than seeing things? And frankly, I don't fucking care, is the truth. Because with the phrase, "in a way that feels right for you," that's giving them permission to experience it however they want. And it's giving a situational framework where whatever happens, for them to feel good about it, which most people would desire as the outcome for themselves, to feel good about it, they've got to interpret whatever their experience is as being right for them. But it's got to be in the direction of what you suggested as X, Y, Z. Otherwise, they know that that phrase, "just prove to yourself you've done it correctly." They know deep down that means that if you don't do it, you look a fucking idiot. I don't, you do. They know that, but it's at an unspoken level. And when you think about it, before we have a 15-minute break to recharge our glasses and go to the toilet, and then I'll get into some really to-the-point stuff, but I promise you, but I feel that this bit alone's all you need. But there's some even better stuff in the second half, I promise you. However, Almond's biggest secret, I've used it, that is it now. You are effectively, one could argue, using verbal linguistics in a manner whereby you cannot fail, because it's never perceived by the audience that you've done anything wrong. And when you take away that fear of failure, you can push the boundaries wide, because you never look bad. It's always their fucking fault. But you're also giving them, if you're taking it to the extremes as you bring them down the garden path, permission to make an idiot of themselves if we're going down the comedy hypnosis route, or an environment where they can look good because you can frame it. You know, if it was a corporate event, I might frame it as, "Go on the count of 3, just prove to your work colleagues what wonderful mind powers you've got. Prove you've done this right." I'm effectively fucking arguably instant stooging these people right in front of the entire audience. And I would argue further that all a comedy stage hypnotist does, yes, I will teach you an induction in the second half, 1 or 2, an important seeming ritualistic process to get them in the slumped, I say sleep, they go out of it mode. But here's the true fact of the matter. If you were to go on my Celebrity Hypnotist YouTube channel, and also my Hypnotherapy course YouTube channel, both of links to which are on my website, Magical Guru, magicalguru.co.uk, and click on where it says Watch Stage Hypnosis Shows. I have uploaded well over a dozen full-length, don't watch if easily offended, comedy stage hypnosis shows going as far back as the 90s up to present day. But what I've done that most hypnosis trainers would never do is I've uploaded the shit shows. There's some good ones in there as well. But I've uploaded the shit shows where, when I ask for volunteers, no fucker volunteers. I've uploaded the ones where the microphone starts feeding back and making horrible noises. I've uploaded the ones where someone starts having a bloody epileptic attack on stage. I've uploaded the ones that if you pay attention to them, bearing in mind what I've already covered in this first half, will be far more educational to you, to prove to you beyond any reasonable doubt that all that fucking matters is they either want their 15 minutes of fame or they don't, if it's a comedy environment, or from a close-up magician, mentalist who they might not have known was suddenly coming to their table, if you can frame it in a context where they look superior almost to everyone else on the table because they've proven they've got these wonderful powers of mind, then you can never fail. And I promise you I'm telling the truth, because here's the thing. Before, or rather it was around the same time that I did the Association of Professional Hypnotherapists and Psychotherapists Correspondence course back in 1989, that also had a bit of stage in it. I'd also got Delavar's Hypnotist Bible, which you'll have access to the PDFs of in what I've given you, and people getting this, it's in the package. And I went to see Delavar, and he comes from a circus family. He's got spiritualism links as well. His parents and his grandparents were spiritualists, as well as, some may say charlatans, but anyway, spiritualists as well as mesmerists, and we're talking several generations of hypnotists, which is very rare. And I went to his house, and I said, okay, I've got your book. And he's brutally honest in there as well. And I went, but it can't be that simple. It can't be that simple. I can't go out and it can't be that simple. I daren't go out there and try it. And this was probably the most educational thing anyone has ever shared with me. He gave me some old VHS tapes. He said, go away and watch them. A couple of shows they were. He said, watch them, and when you watch them, remember this. As long as you were to have posters, like I alluded to before, remember, available in the souvenir shop in the interval, along with other things, including a complete tarot reading course. Have a look. So that people know, and their expectations and beliefs are being built up, and they know what you look like, so when you come on, you are to them, they're saying in their own little head, it's the hypnotist. If you were to say what I say in the way that I say it, and do what I do in the way that I do it, then the vast majority of the time, you will get the same results that you were seeing on those VHS tapes. And I watched them, and I studied them, word for word. And the first, I don't know how many shows that I ever did, were word for word Delavar's patter, the order of his routines. I was doing his show in much the same way as Chris alluded, the way he started out. And did it work every single time? No, it fucking didn't. Had Delavar taught me, if I'd have known about Almond's biggest secret, I could have framed things in a manner where failure would have been far less. But am I going to stand here and tell you that there is a way to do this that you never, 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 ever fail? Well, on the one hand, before we have the 15-minute break, yes, I have already said that. If you frame it, then you can never fail because it's them that's perceived to have failed. However, you as a human being are still going to walk away and feel like shit from the gig, is the truth of the matter. And anyone who tells you that there won't be occurrences where you walk away, ended up feeling, oh, that was a fucking shit gig. But bizarrely, some of the, to me, worst gigs ever are the ones that have resulted in the most rebookings because from the audience's perception, who weren't going through the living hell of we're going to drag this out for another hour of these fucking non-responsive twats on stage, the audience still think it's bloody amazing, because every time I say sleep, all right, the person might not like your ideal subject when you say sleep. You know, you've said to them, when I say sleep, your eyes will instantly close. Your heavy head will fall forward onto your chest and you'll instantly re-enter this state. Except each and every time you do, it'll be 100 times deeper, more relaxing and enjoyable for you. Nod your head if you understand. That's them consenting. In other words, we're instructing them in front of the entire audience what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, and getting them to say that they will do it and accept it by nodding their head. But because their eyes are closed, when we've said, nod your head if you understand, the audience actually see that as being slightly amusing and laugh. And it's like there's some mind-controlled automaton. You're actually talking them through the script of an improvised comedy show in front of the audience. In actual fact, when I say stage hypnosis is bollocks, and hypnosis doesn't exist except in the mind of the believer, and I'll leave you with this thought. We reconvene at 4:30, please, for the second half, where we'll go to the next level. I say it because if there is such a thing as hypnosis, then arguably it's the people in the fucking audience, the spectators, who are the ones that are hypnotised, because those stupid fuckers think that these people up here are out of it and a mind-controlled automaton doing stuff against their will, which is complete and utter bullshit. And on that thought, that's the end of the first half. My name's Jonathan Roll. See you in 15 minutes' time. In this next section, learn some hypno tricks, pseudo-hypnotic stunts, but that actually work in a manner where the person who is taking part actually comes to believe they're being genuinely hypnotised, as do the audience members.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome back live on stage for the second half of this evening's performance. The one, the only, the amazing Jonathan Royle.
Thank you. Yes, well, hooray! People have woken up awake. Welcome back to the second half. Hopefully by now you've realised from the first half, this is not your normal hypnosis course, although arguably it should be, because it's actually telling you the bloody truth. So picking up from where we started, because we've got like another 2-hour slot, there will be bits missing at the end of this, some little bits, but that is why you've been given access to all those other things, so that you don't have to go spending money on anything else. It's all there for you. And I promise you, when I say don't go spending money on anything else, you will learn far more from actually basically just having the balls to go and do things in the real world, try them out. And I'm not using the word try negatively. Oh, he's an hypnotist. He said try, you should know that's a negative suggestion. We're among friends. I'm just fucking, it's bullshit. You've got to do it. The more you do it, the more you'll get confidence in it. It's relatively as simple as that. But I'm going to go back to the beginning where I talked about cueing methods, because I went totally off. So I want to cover some ways that people could be cued, but I'm going to use an imaginary volunteer, just saves time. Okay, so a few suggestions I'm going to give you, and these can form the basis with a little bit of thought of an entire act, entire routines. I know because I've used embryos of these ideas with, well, people who have been on TV shows around the world when I'm working as a consultant. You don't always see what I'm going to show you happening on camera, on screen, so-called pre-show work, but ideas for cueing people. One of them, this ultimately, I'm going to give credit to Kenton Nepper here, and a manuscript by him called Q, the letter Q, because it's a manuscript on different ways of cueing people. And in that, I forgot I'd taken a load of pictures earlier. In that, and the reason I'm able to share this with you kindly with Kenton's blessing is because of what follows on from this, as you'll become aware of in a minute, for anyone thinking crediting and all that kind of stuff. I have permission. So this is, you know, your stereotypical hypno disc imagery. I've got a photograph I carry around on my phone. and you say to people, because you can get them to stare at it, and it'll hypnotise them. And I'll take that and get it back to the normal size, and I'll go up to somebody and you can go, what I'd like you to do is just look at that, if you would, keep staring at that, and as you do, in a few moments' time, when I count from 3 to 1, your eyes are going to gently close and remain closed at all times unless I say otherwise. Look at the precise wording. You're going to do this at this point when I've told you. And this is how long you're going to do it for. So in a few moments, I'm going to count from 3 to 1. On the count of 1, you'll find that if you've not already closed your eyes by that point, you just have an overwhelming desire to instantly close your eyes, let your heavy head fall forward onto your chest, to continue breathing deeply and regularly and enter that lovely state of hypnosis. Nod your head if you understand. Consent thing again. And ultimately, they end up doing it. Now, part of the reason they do it is all the things we spoke about before. The other part is that what they've just been shown says, please play along and do whatever I ask. I will give you £20 after the show. Because there's a hypno disc with no writing on, and now you be the person who sat on stage. What's happening here is when I go, please look at this, I just swipe across, and the image changes to the one with the cueing on for whatever you want. Now in this example, it's please play along and do whatever I ask, I will give you £20 after the show. Now, you've got a couple of options here, but we'll come to that in a minute. The upgrade to that was I sat down with Stuart Harrison Cassells, who's over there, my good friend, my daughter's godfather, my graphic designer, camp, comedy, hypnosis, double act partner, all manner of things. And he suggested, well, it'd be better if the disc was moving rather than just a static image. And so, what Stuart first did, sorry, I told you in advance before that me and technology don't go together very well. Downloads. No, wrong one. Images. There we go. Okay, that's play. So what Stuart did was to create animated GIF of a hypnotic disc that spins around for your phone. That you could get them to, and you could if you wanted to have the old look at the disc, if that's what the person believed would work for them to hypnotise them, then we've already spoken about what they believe it's likely to. You could go through the stereotypical process. However, that was the beginning point, and incidentally this, when you look at it and then after about a minute suddenly look at the back of your hand, your skin moves, or you look at the head, it's the shrinking and growing head illusion on your phone. That was stage 1. Then we were pissed. No, really? Yeah, we were pissed in the pub. We thought, where can we push this? And, well, the next thing you know is there's a thing called Mobile Magic, which was put together in 2015, which you get access to, guys, in the download and whatnot, where there's something like 70-odd different, 83 actually, different animated discs. Now, they're all different in different ways. Allow me to give you a couple of examples. So, let's go with that one. So, it spins. You may not see it too clearly from there. Please ask me afterwards and I'll happily show you, but it'll probably be visible on video. What's going to happen in a minute here is in the bottom left-hand corner, a little black dot is going to appear and flash, which gives me a warning it's about to change. And then it says, please play along, I'll give you money after the show. So I can show this to the audience casually. We're going to show this spinning hypno disc, and I'm waiting and looking till I see the little black dot appear at the bottom that starts flashing, which is happening now. And at that point, rather than keeping it face forward, the moment that little dot appears, is my cue to turn it this way, and it cues the person. But again, you've just promised them 20 quid or $20. You've got to deal with that. Now, we did take it another level and thought, could we have hypnotic-looking magic effects? So there's all manner of stuff. You'll see it in the download, but, so for example, you're going to stare at this. Let's say somebody using a Mirage deck or a Svengali deck, you forced a card on somebody else. They've had a free choice. Person on stage is going to be hypnotised to read their mind. and as dots appeared, so I know to turn it to the person on stage who then gets cued to the 8 of diamonds, but then I can casually turn this back round and it's just still the spinning hypnodisc. You've got like 83 of them in the download. Well, we put this together and then I started contacting people, asking for input. Colin MacLeod, Kennedy, Ken Dine, Leah Manor, Larry Becker, and Kenton Nepper. They've all given and contributed stuff to the instructions that are in the package that you get in the download. But Kenton's first reaction was, oh, bugger, I wish you'd told me about this, that you were working on it, because it's basically based on what's in queue, photograph changing, which it is really, isn't it? And I said, oh, sorry, didn't know you were going to be developing it. Anyway, he gave us our blessing. That's why his name's on it. He contributed stuff. So for anyone who's a magical purist, I do have permission on it. That's why I was sharing it with you. In both of those queuing methods, but also you supplied ones that have got coins on, times on a watch. With a bit of thought, you get a full toolkit. You want to be the hypnotic magician, the mentalist. It's all in there. But if you were going to use the queuing one, right, there's a couple of options. You've got the one that says just play along. So it's not going to cost you now. They're either compliant or not. But money's a great motivator to a lot of people. What do you do? Well, if it's just one person, I'll be honest with you. Fuck it. I told you it was going to be total honesty. Right. When you remove all resistance from a situation, and you know 1,000,000% you cannot fail, the confidence you will exude will be so massive that suddenly it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I know full well I can step foot on pretty much any stage, anywhere, in front of any audience, and walk off, and the audience will perceive they have seen a comedy stage hypnosis show where people were under that fluence. But sometimes there's environmental factors where I think this is going to be a nightmare night, like Chris alluded to. And yeah, I may, whether it's through the mobile phone animated gift or there's another layer of that, which predates Kenton Nepper's Q manuscript, This goes back to Eddie Burke, Hypno PSO, so I don't know how you pronounce it. But I mean, this was on sale in the late 50s from King Tricks, I think, in Stoke-on-Trent. That, you know, you might get 4 volunteers on stage and show you hypnodisc and just show them to the audience casually that you've got these hypnodiscs that you've handled quite freely, and then you hand them out. So let's say there's a few people sat on stage and you tell them to hold it up in front of their eyes, stare at it, and you're going to count from 3 to 1, and you go through the important seeming ritualistic process stuff. The thing is, each of these had actually got on it, please play along, be a good sport, and do everything I ask you to do. You will be a star. That's not even offering them money, that one. But you might want to... I haven't actually got one here that offers them money on it, but you might want to have one that says, I'll give you 20 quid after. And you know what? I'll be frank with you. For the sake of 4 people, even 6, getting paid 20 quid each, which is 120 quid, when I'm getting thousands of pounds for a corporate event, and it's going to make me look good, strikes me that's worth every fucking penny. Seriously, yeah. Or you can have balls of steel, like I've done on odd occasions in the past, and use something that I'm reliably informed was used by a guy no longer with us who used to play Glasgow Pavilion Theatre called Robert Halpin. Now, this story I'm about to tell you is related in Derren Brown's Tricks of the Mind book, but he doesn't name the hypnotist. I'm telling you it's Robert Halpin because I heard this firsthand from one of Robert Halpin's hypnosis students, namely Andrew Newton. He would, off microphone, while they're apparently staring at the light, he'd pull the microphone away from his mouth so the audience couldn't hear, and he'd say, look, guys, play along, fellas. Let's give everyone a laugh, and, you know, there's 20 quid in it for you afterwards. And there was a lot of money, that, in the 80s. But he had no intentions of giving them the 20 quid. And they'd do the show compliant, thinking they're earning the money. And at the end of the show, he'd go, everyone, look at me, nice deep breath in, and sleep. And they'd close their eyes, and they'd let their head fall forward, and the audience were amazed. And he'd go, I'm now talking to everybody on the stage. You'll continue to keep your eyes tightly closed at all times unless I say otherwise. However, when I count from 1 to 10, on the count of 10, and only on the count of 10, you'll instantly open your eyes. Everything I've said tonight here will be completely cancelled out, except for one final suggestion I'll give you in a minute. 1, 2, 3, lighter and brighter. 4, 5, 6, almost as if every nerve, fibre, tissue and muscle in your body, from the tips of your toes to the tips of your fingers, being washed, re-energised, revitalised with pure spring water. 6, 7, 8, lighter and brighter. And 9, everything cancelled out in every way, except you will believe when you open your eyes that the hypnotist offered you £20 to play along. And the more the audience tell you this is not true, the more angry you will become, and the funnier it'll be to the audience. 10, you're wide awake. Now, I kid you not, I've genuinely used this ploy. And here's what happens. One of two things happened. Either A, well, it always happens that they end up angry. They do. But that's great, because you've suggested to them as the hypnotist in front of the audience that will happen. So to the audience, they've just responded, this is what they were called dual reality, to the suggestion you're giving them because they're hypnotised, and the angry they get about it, say, now, he told me this, he said, well, if you've used a technique like this, the audience think they've seen both sides of every one of these, because these three have got your writing on one side, hypnodiscs on the others. This has got double hypnodisc goes on the bottom. And it's what's called in card magic the frustration count, which is basically that I've got on the bottom here the double-sided real hypnodisc. That looks like hypnodisc. I show you the front. I put it down, but I pull off this top one. Psychologically, you've seen both sides of this. You haven't. You saw that side of that one, and then that. And I pointed it like that, 1. And we do it again. 2, 3. Obviously, I didn't draw as much attention to it. I did it casually, like it's no big deal. And then I take this one that's double-sided, casually show it's double, put it back on the bottom so that I can turn this at this angle. And psychologically, you've seen all sides of this as an audience. So if afterwards they say that they were cued and they try and say that there was something written on it, the audience are going to think this person's acting like a hypnotised fuckwit. And it actually cements into the audience's brain the idea that the person was hypnotised more, because the more angry they get, the more they're reacting to that final suggestion they were given. And here's the bizarre oxymoron of it. Quite often, the people who start off angry, believing you offered them 20 quid, because you did, are then convinced so much by the audience that it didn't happen, that they end up coming up to you and apologising for getting angry about it, to which I just go, it's all right, it was a hypnotic suggestion, mate. It's good, you're a bloody fantastic subject, praising their ego. And they end up becoming the biggest bloody believers who believed that they were hypnotised. And Robert Halpern actually used to use that when he was having bad nights. Because there is no such thing as a bad night. It doesn't have to be as blatant as that. Your instructions could say things like, but all instructions, the lesson here is, whether you're saying them verbally, so the audience here, in the conventional, when I wake you up, you're going to do X, Y, Z, or you're cueing them non-verbally, want to be short, sharp, and sweet, easy to understand, can't be misinterpreted. They say what you want them to do, when you want them to do it, and allude to how. So an example might be, please, each time I cough, act as if the person next to you has passed wind, brackets farted, and it really stinks. Let's have a laugh. Short and sweet. All I've got to do is, ladies and gentlemen, it's great to be here tonight. Now, all that person's got to do is start going, and then I can go up and act as though I believe they're hypnotised. I'm reacting as though they're hypnotised and go, what's up? And they're going to say, person next to me is farted. Audience laugh their fucking head off. And they love it. It praises it. The more the audience laugh, because of the context we're framing up, the more they'll do. Or it could be, whenever I say or count the number 2, and I put the digits and the word, so it's definitely not misunderstood. Whenever I say I count the number 2, please jump up out of your chair. That can be the prelude to the electric chairs routine, which we'll come back to in a minute. Mention of. Or whenever I ask you to stand up, please act as if you were stuck to your chair. Or just a couple more examples. When I ask you your name, please act as if you were not able to say or remember it. Please act as if you cannot count, say or think the number 7. Just act as if the number 7 no longer exists. You could do whatever, because the audience, if you look back on the videos, they're convinced that they've seen all sides of this. And you can basically do a complete bloody show then. Printed cabinet. So yeah, I want to mention the electric chairs for slightly controversial reasons as well. Because I have thrown in along the way a bit of lineage and historical stuff, you may recall, and pointed out to you certain things that actually... Excellent, sir. Okay, I'll just move that back slightly. I'm just going to move you in ever so slightly. Can you outstretch your arm? I want to see how far out you are. I'd say probably about there. Okay. I'm going to do it first, but kind of like that. Just bring you down your fingertips and your thumb. I'd like you just to lift that up and then put it back down, if you can. Stay stood where you are, obviously. Not difficult, is it? No. Place your arm out. I'd like you to imagine in a way that feels right for you. Just close your eyes down. That it's almost as if every nerve, fibre, tissue and muscle in your body, from the tips of your fingers to your wrists, to your elbows, to your shoulders, is starting to become so weak, so tired. And in a few moments' time, I'm going to ask you to try to lift up the bottle on the table. And you're going to find it's like a magnet's attracting the force down to the table, locking it. Or it may be for you, it's different for everyone, that it's just that your arm becomes so weak that all the strength is gone. I'd like you to imagine that happening in your mind's eye, turning off all the little muscles in your arm. And when you know you've done that correctly, just nod your head and let me know. That's brilliant. Now open your eyes. Just prove to yourself you've done this right. Just get in position, finger and thumb on there, and then just try and notice how much more difficult it is. Just try to lift that and notice it's like it's locking, gluing, welding. Just really give it a bit of a try. It's mental, isn't it? It's just getting tighter and tighter and tighter. But the really weird thing is it's not tight at all. It comes up nice and easily. Okay? Sleep, whatever bollocks you do, blah, blah, blah. So, right, thank you for getting up, but I mean, that's all I need you for is, could I do? But thank you, right? Now, you can go back, sir. Yes, thank you. Now.
That was really tight on there, by the way.
It's really tight, mainly because I didn't dry the table before, otherwise I wouldn't have to do that now. I could have distracted. Because we used this is originally Kenton Nepper's idea. Although people might go, but Wayne Fox does it in his light and heavy project. He does, yes, but that doesn't mean that Kenton Nepper didn't basically publish it first. We've got some blue tack. And when I'm talking the bollocks, I've got all the time in the world to push this on the bottom. You don't have to be surreptitious about it, because you're talking about the wrists, the elbows, you can hide behind the body, it's fine. Just fucking do it. People don't know what you're doing. And then when I say it's like a magnet pushing it down, I'm doing this, so the people watching have got a reason that explains why I'm pushing this down so bloody hard. It's to make sure the bloody thing sticks. Because with your arm outstretched in the position it was before, you haven't got enough strength to pick it up at that. I mean, I've just about managed it there by real force. But if you immediately jump in with the try, and you've used all the other elements as well, prove to yourself you've done it right, we're layering it another dimension. Now, it wasn't blue tack that Kenton said to use. I'm pretty certain it's Kenton, or does it predate Kenton? Anyway, you know, the joke shops used to sell those things for your cups and saucers. They were like rubber suckers. You put it on the saucer and the cup so that when people picked it up, they stuck together. That is what the original of this told you to use. But these days, you can just carry around a piece of blue tack in your pocket. But combined with Dave Alman's Biggest Secret Revealed, you've got a bloody miracle. I'm just trying to think what to... Oh, yeah, I can take a seat. Yeah, you sit down. There you go. Make yourself comfy. Excellent. We've just got a deck of cards here, okay? And just touch the back of any one you want. Really doesn't matter. Okay, that one. I'm just going to show this to everyone here, okay? Yeah? If everyone can just remember that, that'd be fantastic. And then what we'd like you to do is just commit that to memory, okay? Just keep that in mind. And in a minute, I want you to tell me exactly what you remember, okay? Thinking about it right now. What's the card that you just picked out of the deck? What is it? I mean, if you had to say it out loud, what?
Ace of Hearts.
Ace of Hearts? Was it? No. No, not the Ace of Hearts. What, I mean, thinking about it again, can you remember what card won it? Or is it like it's just gone?
Gone.
It's gone. Yeah, it's like, it's bizarre, isn't it? Now, don't care what you say. To the average person, that looks like he's forgotten it. The truth of the matter is, don't worry, you're not going mental, because there is a card here. It was the Ten of Spades, it turns out. Or, in your case, let's be honest, cut to the chase, you saw that. He saw that. And I probably did the worst top change in the world. I don't give a shit, because people are not looking for it. I'm not doing a magic trick. I'm doing a hypnosis experiment. A blank face card, that's it. They can pick any card they want, but when it's pulled out, before they get to see it, show it to other people. You're not doing a trick. So really, you can just be as blatant as that, switching it. And then turn it and go, remember that. And if you do get any immediate confusion, even if they go, there's nothing there, that is funny in the context. It doesn't matter what happens, it's how you react. And then obviously you can double lift it to show it printed again from his perspective. You don't have to use complicated things. It can be really simple things. One of the most powerful convincers, I talked about convincers being, I say something, person imagines it, it becomes their tangible reality, so therefore they go, I may as well do whatever the hypnotist says, because that's what happens every time. If you'd like to stand up, please. Thank you very much indeed, sir. Feet together. Okay, that's fantastic. I'm here, don't worry. Place your right arm out in front of you like that. Make a fist. And now put your thumb up in the air. I want you to stare directly at your thumb, Peter. What's going to happen here is keeping your feet as they are. In fact, put them together so you're really stood firm and steady. That's brilliant. I'm going to count from 3 to 1. On the count of 1, I'd like you to start rotating your thumb in a clockwise direction. And as you follow your thumb with your eyes, you're going to rotate at the waist, keeping your feet together. I'm here to make sure you don't fall over. And you're going to stop before you hurt yourself. This is not about proving what a big, strong man you are. This is just about genuinely seeing where you can go without it bothering you. So if you stare directly at your thumb, 3, 2, 1, follow your thumb with your eyes, rotating at the waist. I'll take my hand away, but keep rotating at the waist, and just keep going until it becomes uncomfortable to go any further. So it's about there. Look directly past your thumb, remember what you see. Now follow your thumb back with your eyes. That's fantastic. Close your eyes down a second, Peter. And I'd like you to imagine doing that again. Just imagine. It's almost as if, in your mind's eye, you could change your reality from what it once was a few moments ago, where you had to stop. It got to that point where it felt uncomfortable. Only this time, something you once thought would be difficult to achieve actually proves itself to be so ridiculously easy. And you go beyond those limits that you thought were once your reality in the past. And when in your mind's eye you've been able to change that reality and see the new you, able to break through those barriers, when you have seen that, and you know you've done that correctly, just nod your head. That's brilliant, Peter, in which case just open your eyes. Keeping your feet together exactly as they are now, rotating again at the waist like you did before. I'm going to count from 1 to 3, and on the count of 3, just move your thumb in a clockwise direction like you did before and just see what your new reality is. 1, 2, 3, now moving your thumb and your eyes going further and further and further, and whoa, 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 whoa. That was considerably further than it was, wasn't it, yeah? You genuinely can feel that in yourself, can't you? Yeah, it's slightly weird as well, isn't it? Yeah. Give Peter a huge round of applause as he makes his way back to the audience. Now, and it does feel slightly weird when you try it out on yourself, which you can do. However, not as weird when you realise what's going on. Because they're guaranteed to have a new reality. When you watch the video, you will see this and you go, oh yeah. But you'll probably recall it when I've break it down in a minute. See, the first time I got Peter to stand with his feet together, hands by his side, then put out this arm, make the fist, put his thumb up, and he's going to turn, follow his thumb with his eyes and his head in a clockwise direction, rotating at the waist, keeping the feet together until it becomes the least bit uncomfortable. In other words, I'm implying it could be painful. Don't. So that's going to make him stop before he could do. There's that element. Plus, remember I said follow your thumb with your eyes and your head. Now, I'm going to tell you now, I have to stop there now, because if I follow my thumb with my eyes and my head, I'm not a fucking owl. I cannot physically turn my head any further. So there's a limit on it. I then get them to come back. I get them to close their eyes and we go through this important seeming ritualistic process. Just talking things and getting them to imagine it. It's to give a bit of a time delay. And it's to make them believe that we suggest things, they imagine them, and when that reality occurs, it's because of what we suggested. The truth is it isn't. It's because we actually change what we asked them to do. Sneaky. Because the second time I didn't say the same thing. It probably sounded the same. But the second time what I actually said was, this time, now you've proven to yourself you've done it right and you know that you've gone further, I want you to follow your thumb with your eyes. I didn't say with your eyes and your head. So, when Peter gets to the point where I'm not an owl, I can't go any further with my head and my eyes, which is what it was first time, that subtle change to eyes only the second time means I can follow my thumb still with my eyes and apparently go further. But in that second, that moment, especially with me acting like, wow, that's amazing, that's real, by me acting in the moment that, wow, that's a bloody amazing achievement, making them feel good, they take that as a visual proof to them that when you, the hypnotist, say things and they imagine them, they become a tangible, genuine reality. And the moment they believe that when you say things, they imagine them, it becomes their tangible reality. If hypnosis does exist on any level, that is it. And that is the moment you've got them. Well, my time is almost up. If you want to learn more about both genuine hypnosis techniques for stage and therapy, as well as pseudo-hypnotic stunts and techniques that are guaranteed to work every time and work in such a manner that even the people involved in them believe and come to genuinely swear blind that they were hypnotised, then be sure to check out my Celebrity Hypnotist YouTube channel. Check out my website, magicalguru.com, that's magicalguru.com, and click on the shop for the various links to my stuff that's on sale. You can check out my books in the name Jonathan Royle on Amazon. Stage Hypnosis Made Easy is the best book on stage hypnosis on the planet and the best value, as is Hypnotherapy Made Easy, does the same for hypnotherapy, and I've got various other books there. But if you really want to become the best possible stage hypnotist, entertainment hypnotist, and or clinical hypnotherapist that you could ever become, then learn the things that I've taught to people who are headlining on cruise ships around the world, filling theatres, appearing on TV, because I have arguably taught more people who are now highly successful comedy stage hypnotists around the world, and more people who are now highly successful clinical hypnotherapists than any other living hypnosis trainer. The testimonials from my students can be seen at ultimatehypnosiscourse.com. That website is ultimatehypnosiscourse.com. And if you contact me via my Facebook page, facebook.com/AlexTheHypnotist, that's my Alex William Smith and then in brackets Jonathan Royle Facebook profile, located at facebook.com/AlexTheHypnotist, and say that you were at the Performing Hypnosis Summit 2025, or that you watched a video of the Performing Hypnosis Summit 2025, then I will arrange for you a special discount so that you can become a lifetime member of the Elite Hypnosis, Hypnotherapy, NLP, Stage Hypnosis, Street Hypnotism and Mentalism and Mind Magic Bootcamp for a massive reduction on the normal price. On ultimatehypnosiscourse.com, it retails at £997 United Kingdom sterling, and you gain access to 29 world-class accredited professional qualifications, business building tools, profit producing tools, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But if you inbox me and mention Performing Hypnosis Summit 2025 before the end of 2025, then I will send you a link so you can make a one-time only payment of just £297 United Kingdom sterling for lifetime access to the bootcamp. Hope you've enjoyed yourself. Contact me via Facebook. On social media, I'm on @RoyalHypnotist. My career resume can be seen at magicalguru.com. That's magicalguru.com. Enjoy the rest of the summit. Bye for now.